All right.
All right. Hello, Mavrakis.
Good evening.
Good evening. So glad to have you with us again today to speak about strategies for real estate investment.
Absolutely.
Well, today we were going to talk about a real estate investment that was less than ideal and then how you addressed that.
Okay. All right. You know, I made a lot of the years,
Mhm.
and some of them been successful.
Mhm.
But yes, once in a while, you run somewhere the deal looks prominent, looks, and then at the end, it gets showered. And the question, what do you do? And again, we don't call it failures. I don't believe in failures
Mhm.
unless once you go down, you refuse to come back again. Then
Mhm.
it's a failure. To me, anything against whatever your wishes or your desires is just an experience. Simply, you learn that what you try to do, it didn't work,
Mhm.
and the next time you will try and you will be more careful and try to correct that.
Mhm.
That's the difference.
Right.
So, but from the outside world, it looks like, okay, here you went, you made the deal, and you fail. There is no such thing.
Mhm.
Okay?
Mhm.
Simply, it didn't work the way
You
you
want it.
projected. All right?
Mhm.
And so I've been, it was a time about, let's say, if I can put the right time, it was about 2013.
Mhm.
And I came across a property in Milwaukee,
Mhm.
downtown Milwaukee.
Oh my gosh, he said I got the money and I didn't.
And so, and I thought Milwaukee, it's a good town.
Mhm.
I never had that, special experience with Milwaukee. And I just drove up to Milwaukee. I went downtown and I noticed this 10-story building,
Mhm.
okay, with two elevators, a nice home on the ground floor, commercial properties.
Mhm.
And guess what? I always was looking for the deal, right?
Mhm.
And so this deal, it was purchased by three partners,
Mhm.
and they paid like $5 million. Okay?
Mhm.
And somehow one of the three who was managing the property, and I don't think he was doing a very good job,
Mhm.
where the property went down based on the presentation that they did to me.
Mhm.
So, because usually I like to share the story. What is the story about the deal?
Mhm.
Okay, it's not just the property itself. Okay,
Mhm.
I mean, you hear the property, and it's very important to
Mhm.
find out who owns it, how long do they own it, who manages the property, what is, right, what is wrong with the property. It's
So,
important.
so how long have they owned it?
Uh, well, I look at the property,
Mhm.
I like the building, and once I looked at the story, it was even much better because the, the story was like this ex, partners, they didn't get along.
Mhm.
One of them didn't like the property very well.
Mhm.
And here the way
Mhm.
and I remember it's just they pay like $5 million. And here it's a short sale means it's not performing, and you go to the bank and you get the consent from the bank to sell it for less than what the mortgage.
Mhm.
Okay?
Mhm.
So hopefully they found that the mortgage,
Mhm.
you have a property.
Mhm. So whatever money you gain from the short sale, then that will be enough to pay for the mortgage.
Even now,
Mhm.
less.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm. And the bank will just take that amount and be satisfied with it. Okay, thanks.
so basically, then it's like this guys they pay to buy the property $5 million, right?
Mhm.
And let's say they put they borrow for from the bank.
Mhm.
Okay? So now the property is in distress
Mhm.
because of the management, and so it would be nice for them to sell for 4, and all the 4 goes to the bank, right?
Mhm.
Because they're with them.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Explain that, okay, I would love to sell it for 4, but there are not buyers for that. I have a buyer for 2,
Mhm.
which is a seller, which is accepting that. And that's what is called short sale.
Mhm.
Short sale means the bank is willing to take less of what their mortgage is.
Mhm.
Why not do it? Well, it's too better than nothing.
Exactly.
And
Mhm.
if you walk away and the bank gets the building, who's gonna manage it? Okay, it's a
Mhm.
liability, tenancy, and all that.
Mhm.
So the bank is not there to manage it.
Mhm.
Okay? And
In 2008, there was a lot of that, and then the banks were overwhelmed with these properties.
absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely. And so under that situation, you can take advantage, I
Mhm.
would say,
Mhm.
in of the market.
Mhm.
And it looked good to try making an opportunity.
Mhm.
And at first, the sellers, they accept my offer. To them, it doesn't matter. To them, they don't get the penny after
Mhm.
this.
Mhm.
But they try to figure out if the bank accepts it, and then it releases them from any further liability.
Mhm.
So I made the offer, 2 million, thinking after now I'm buying
Mhm. Mhm. Yes.
and if a 5 million hey, it's gonna work.
Mhm.
So I made the offer to me, they accepted, and then they got the bank. Then
Mhm.
it took some time.
How long
It's
did it
fine.
take? How long did it take?
It took about 30 days. In 30 days,
Mhm.
and the bank we will take the deal. Okay. I was thrilled. I was thrilled because I thought that, hey, this building, for someone who paid 5 years, I buy the same property for 2,
Mhm.
right? All I have to do is just apply my and I will have a winner.
Did you still get a chance to do the due diligence?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
I did due diligence, and of course, the building
Mhm.
which I thought at that time that I was through my experience that I would clean it up. Okay.
So at what the vacancies, how many caps was it? How many cap?
It's based on the current occupancy,
Mhm.
the cap was 10.
Okay. Mhm.
So anything above there, no, occupancy,
Mhm.
60, so we have 40%.
Mhm.
So, but based on occupancy
Mhm.
for $2 million, it was a 10 cap.
Mhm.
And I said, anything will extend the.
Mhm. Do you
Right?
want to explain one more time what 10 cap means? Because there might be some viewers that are tuning in for the first time and they
10
don't understand.
cap
Mhm.
means 10% on your money.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's
Mhm. Thank
so,
you.
and I was excited. We signed the deal, and at that time, there was a tenant. It was an attorney,
Mm.
a big attorney firm
Mhm.
that they occupied before. And so their lease was coming up in the end of the year, in December.
Mhm.
I was buying the property and it was around August.
Mhm.
So part of my due diligence it was to look at the existing tenant.
Mhm.
I knew that the property had 40% vacancy.
Mhm.
That's fine. I was counting on the 60 okay?
Mhm.
And based on the 60%, occupancy and the cash flow, there was a 10% return, which is the 10 cap.
By the way, for the occupancy, how much was residential and how much was commercial?
So it was all commercial.
All commercial, okay.
It was commercial on the first floor,
Mhm.
okay? And offices on the top floor.
Okay. Mhm.
So now, and I was thinking, I had one who was a single guy, and I offered him to go up on Milwaukee
Mhm.
and be there permanently.
Mhm.
And he said, yes, I wouldn't mind.
Mhm.
Because he had there. And I said, oh, I'm buying this property. I need some hands-on money.
Mhm.
Would you consider moving up? And we will cover your expenses and everything. He said, yes. As a matter of fact, there was a meet up on the campus
Mhm.
that, it appeared that he would stay there.
Mhm.
Okay?
Mhm.
And so he could come to Chicago by train, didn't have a big family here, and it worked out very well. And I thought with someone on the train,
Mhm.
it would be much easier for us, to manage and,
Mhm.
fill up the
Mhm.
okay. So now it's just August, and one of the tenants who is a big tenant,
Mhm.
and they occupy 2 floors, okay, their lease is coming up
Mhm.
on the end of the year, December, right?
Mhm.
And I'm concerned because if this tenant, for some reason, moves out,
Mhm.
you've got 2 floors,
Right.
okay,
Mhm.
and you are paying about 200, okay,
Mhm.
rent. So I reached out to them and I said, well, I'm planning to buy this property, okay? I will be your future landlord.
Mhm.
So what are your plans of staying
Mhm.
or living? Or what?
Mhm.
And they come back to me and say, we would love to stay.
Mhm.
We would love to extend our lease.
And when you asked them, this was during your due diligence, right?
Correct.
Mhm.
Yes. And so they said, we would love to extend our lease for another 5 years,
Mhm.
okay? With the stipulation that you, the new landlord, will paint the place. You will give us a new carpet,
Mhm.
and we would like to, make some new
Renovations.
configuration.
Mhm. Oh. Mhm.
I took that into consideration, and I figured out, that would be about 20,000. Okay, not bad. As a matter of fact, they recommended that they hire an interior designer to help them with some of the plans that I would pay for.
Mhm.
And I agree,
Mhm.
because when I was thinking like, they will extend their lease for another 5 years,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
In each year, they will pay like $200,000
Mhm.
in rent
Mhm.
for another 5 years, $1 million
Right.
to secure a tenant that's like me, 1 million. What would be for me?
Exactly.
Okay.
Mhm.
No. Okay. So I agree. We take hands and they hired an interior designer,
Mhm.
which I accepted to pay. Okay. And to start working on the plan.
Mhm.
Based on that agreement, I felt secure. And in August or September, I closed the deal.
Mhm.
I paid $2 million. I bought the property.
Mhm.
The rest of the tenants that were small. Usually, when a tenant is small, it's not so important, although all the tenants are important,
Mhm.
but it doesn't affect your cash flow and your rent roll.
Mhm.
But when one of the or two are big enough, then you have to make sure that you have plans,
Mhm.
okay? And those plans are based on what you want,
Mhm.
okay?
Mhm.
So my mistake is I trusted them
Mhm.
on our conversation, right?
Mhm.
So So I went there twice, 3 times. We sat at the table. Okay. They look to be happy. They look to be, comfortable. And they gave me that comfort
Mhm,
that they will stay assuming that I do this.
mhm,
And that's why immediately I hired the interior designer.
mhm,
Okay, after they hired them,
mhm,
and I started to pay,
mhm,
okay, which will be $10,000.
mhm,
So September comes, I close the deal. Okay, and so now I follow up, and I said, okay, once the interior designer comes up with a plan or whatever, just we're going to implement.
mhm,
Okay, we're going to do the whatever changes we need, we're going to paint it,
mhm,
and we're going to work it out. Okay. Then about in November, I received a phone call from one of the attorneys because there was people okay, because they occupy 2 floors.
mhm,
One of the partners called and he said, we would like to meet and see you up here in Milwaukee. I assume he wanted to talk further about the restoration and remodeling.
mhm,
So I went up there, I met. And there at this meeting, they just tell me that, you know what? We changed our plans and we're moving. So, oh, good.
mhm,
How you there? Of course, there I realized our agreement is just non,
mhm,
an honor. Right?
mhm, mhm. On the honor system, yes.
I mean, had I put this in writing, okay, now we wouldn't have this situation.
Right.
And so they're professionals. When they do this, that's why you just keep doing mistakes throughout your life
Mhm,
and don't worry about it. The question is, out of a mistake, what did you learn?
mhm,
It's not about it.
mhm,
Okay, the mistake happened. Okay,
mhm.
what have I learned from that?
Right.
So, and I guess until then, I didn't have that experience where I felt someone of that caliber,
Mhm,
right,
right.
would make that representation and then make it.
Mhm,
That's amazing. How are you there?
mhm,
I paid $2 million, and the whole entourage, my whole, decision was the deal would stay.
mhm,
But again, they're lawyers, and they knew that okay, well,
mhm,
okay, it's not in writing. Okay, I can take them to court and try to, with oral representation, but in real estate, there is a rule. Unless it's in writing,
mhm,
it's not applicable.
mhm,
Okay? Whatever you do in real estate,
mhm.
but in real estate, if it's not in writing, it's not valid.
And you knew at that time already too.
Yes.
Mhm,
Okay. So here is the situation.
mhm,
The next month, they move out. Okay?
mhm.
And I lose now my becomes 4 cup because they're
Of
on the
course.
cash,
Mhm,
right?
mhm,
So now and think about it. I lost my 2,000
mhm,
and I have an empty space. Still, you need to keep that space as central heating
mhm,
and not you say,
mhm,
okay? When you hit the building,
mhm,
hit it, right?
mhm. Yes.
And so here now, I'm 2 floors to $200,000
Mhm,
and on suddenly now the price is not enough to cover even the mortgage.
mhm,
Because think about it. Usually the cost of the money is the interest.
mhm,
The money has a cost. Their cost is interest.
mhm, mhm. Yes.
And usually tomorrow, the cost of the money is your interest. 5%. Your car, which is percentage,
Mhm,
has to be more.
mhm.
Covered,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
And
Mhm,
that's
Mhm.
Okay?
Mhm.
And I bought
Mhm.
to work.
Oh.
You
I,
understand that?
yeah, at first I thought that when you have a 5% interest rate and 10 cap, that's like 10 cap over that.
No.
Oh,
10 cap is no,
okay.
okay?
Mm.
So this assuming that paying the property cash,
Uh-huh.
you don't go to the
Okay.
you assuming that you pay cash. The money minus the expenses, no,
Mhm.
the income that you have minus the expenses, that is cash flow. That is the cost.
Mhm.
Okay?
Mhm.
Now, in case you have now a mortgage, you take that, okay? So that's like the 10% I have to deduct my interest.
Mhm.
So in this way, I have 5%. I have a good margin.
Right.
But now I lost the 200.
Mhm.
Now my capital is 5%.
Yes.
January comes, February, okay? And I
And
thought that another thing.
and the mortgage was 5%, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So I have a cost of 5%. Now there's no more penny. You know, if so some months you have to put money from your pocket
Mm.
just to cover
The expenses,
the
it's like the heating bills,
might think that this happened when I have 10, 20, right? If that was for someone else, you would break.
Mhm.
See, so that's really
Mhm.
at the same time, like every investment has their own risk, right?
Right. Mhm.
So you have okay, okay.
Mhm.
So because I had other properties and I have cash flow from the other properties, I was able to pay and pay at a loss. Now
Mhm.
here I got property that is not performing.
Mhm.
At the beginning, I got upset. I got disappointed. But again, you cannot just sit and cry.
Right.
Okay?
Mhm.
Then I thought, okay, let me go out and see if I can find somewhere else, rent the space, and move on. Now comes the second mistake. The second mistake I realized is working back then at that time is it's a dying city. It's not very active.
Mhm.
And I thought my mistake is I didn't do my due diligence on that specific thing.
The location.
No,
The
the
whole-
location was downtown. I didn't do my homework as far as the activity,
Mm.
okay? The rental activity,
Mm.
the vacancy,
Oh.
the demographics, all those things, okay?
Mhm.
Here I'm going to a new, totally new area.
Mhm.
At least the ones that I got before in Chicago, I was familiar. Most of my
Ah.
properties were in Devon,
Mhm.
okay? I was very familiar.
Mhm.
And everywhere, in Milwaukee, I assumed if it's a downtown, it would be okay. No, not that. I made a mistake. And again, I didn't do enough diligence to find more than they said location, okay, fine. That was downtown, okay? But Milwaukee, I mean, sometimes I go there and I wouldn't find, I mean, it was bad. Like lunchtime, like it's crowded, you see a lot of crowd, people going out. Milwaukee, I never saw people. And then I was wondering, well, maybe it's lunchtime, okay? Or maybe it's winter and it's cold and people don't want to go out.
Mhm.
Had I spent a little time to observe that, if I would go, had I done Milwaukee more and more before I buy,
Mhm.
and I observe the traffic and everything, I would figure it out.
Right.
But I guess I'm not sure on my due diligence.
Mhm.
Okay? And here now that you are first, the people that I thought, you know,
Mhm.
they live on the apartment, and my mistake was I didn't add.
Mhm.
All I had to do in August when I went through my due diligence, all I had to do was to say, dear tenant, you agree on those principles, right?
Mhm.
Here's the piece of paper, this is what we agree.
Mhm.
And sign. Okay?
Mhm.
Had they said, no, we're not gonna sign, and I would know,
Mhm.
I will do the deal, right?
Exactly.
How could I go in 2 months?
Mhm.
Okay? That's my mistake. Okay? And then Milwaukee,
Mhm.
I, now those two realities come, and it's like I pay for my pocket to maintain and disappointment, and I'm trying to find a tenant.
Mhm.
It's like 6 months, almost a year, a tenant. Okay? Then I figure out I will hire a local broker, okay, to help me fill out the place.
Mhm.
And I hire someone local, and for the next 6 months, instead of filling up more of my space, we lost two tenants.
Oh.
And then I just found out from my people, these people, they also manage other buildings. And what they were doing is like they
Oh.
were taking tenants from me to the other building because every time they do that, they get a commission.
Mhm.
Okay?
Mhm.
And so now, I mean, again, you're talking about serious, serious mistakes. Okay?
It-
I lost like two tenants,
Mhm.
and then we find out that they lost a building that they manage.
Mhm.
Okay?
And is legal for them to do that?
It, they call it,
Right.
okay?
Right. Mhm.
The best,
Mhm.
okay?
Yeah, well, at least you got your janitor there to find that out for you.
Correct.
Mhm.
If I
Mhm.
with it, okay? It's something that I'm doing,
Mhm.
okay? Because I know that, okay,
Mhm.
okay,
Mhm.
to the depth,
Mhm.
okay? So there about 2 years bleeding came from my pocket, okay? I thought, okay, that's going to be, and I put this for sale to get out.
Mhm.
And again, it doesn't sell.
Mhm.
Okay?
Mhm.
So I figured, okay, I'll ask for $3 million.
Mhm.
Okay? I listed with a big reputable agency in Milwaukee.
Mhm.
6 months later, no phone call. Okay? They don't even call me to report me. Okay?
Mhm.
And so I just let the contract run out. And I thought, okay, through my own listings and my own efforts, you know, to sell it.
Mhm.
So, and finally, what happened 3 years with a lot of, disappointments and losing money for the property. So, through a broker here in Chicago, I managed to sell it for the price that I paid, 2 million.
Mhm.
Okay, and so that was an experience. It taught me two lessons.
Mhm.
Lesson number one, okay, when you go to a new area, spend a little time and find out about it.
Mhm.
Even if Milwaukee is an hour away from west from Chicago,
Yeah.
still it's a new area. You don't know.
Mhm.
Okay, I thought I rushed to the area.
Mhm.
Okay, and then number two, okay, it's when whatever you're doing here, just prepare a simple whatever understanding.
Right.
And have the practical sign
Mhm.
so that there's no, at the end, oh, you said that, or
Mm.
said that, okay, and feel people, then
Mhm.
okay,
Mhm.
and so, and again, I got an experience where if it wasn't Milwaukee, it could be Kansas,
Mm.
let's say, or it could be, New York, it could be another place, and it could be a bigger and
Mhm.
more disastrous
Mhm.
place, right?
Mhm.
So overall, yes, it was, um, and it's like one of the ones. This is one of the
Mhm.
okay, because again, I went the timing that anytime that you lose money on a deal on a
Mhm.
property, it's not good.
Mhm.
Thank God I was things that I could afford and I had other properties
Mhm.
to support.
Mhm.
But for a new uh, investor,
Mhm.
that could be great
Right.
because that would take
Disastrous.
it down
Mhm.
5 months, and then it would take 10, 20 years. If you would say real estate, forget it. Okay?
Mhm.
No, real estate is beautiful.
Mhm.
Okay? Simply we have to be a little bit more
Mhm.
diligent about what we're doing, a little bit more careful. And if we don't have the knowledge is left to us. Just ask for someone.
Mhm.
Okay?
Mhm.
Now when I'm thinking about it, there are 1,000 things that we could do, right?
Mhm.
One of them I could go to say, I'm thinking about profit. 2 million. What do you think? Give me your advice. That is advice. People will give you, right?
Mhm.
And listen. And then probably spend a little bit more time.
Mhm.
Okay.
How long do you think it would be necessary to spend time there? Because every season is different, but you would see that there wasn't much business activity if you spent like maybe 2 or 3 months there, right? You could see that.
Correct.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so this is the point.
Mhm.
You know, look at the which I did.
Mhm.
I just went there. Again, don't assume anything.
Mhm.
Okay. Just find out. Look, the fact that it was downtown, I assume that it would be okay.
Mhm.
No, it's not.
Mhm.
Okay. And so, yeah, that's, I guess that was the biggest of the challenges that I used the
Mhm.
money. Okay. But thank God I wasn't destroyed.
Mhm.
And after that, almost 15, 20 billion.
Mhm.
Okay. And I'm glad
Mhm.
because at the end, real estate provides trust.
Mhm. So after you did that deal, did you feel that the rest of your other deals you did better because of what you learned from that deal? Mhm.
So, thank my Lord.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. And it turned out to be one, which, I wish I didn't do it, but it is, you know,
Mhm.
uh,
Mhm. Yes, and then you mentioned before that you don't like to use management companies. Was it because of that experience, or it's just that you'd rather manage it yourself?
you see, unless
Mhm.
where you need a
Mhm.
company, I would say I wouldn't advise you or anyone, like the small
Mhm.
to put someone else in charge of money and
Mhm.
make it
Mhm.
okay. Unless your company
Mhm.
just say buy property in the United States, and then you need someone. If you know if your property is local, I would highly recommend to be you on on hands-on.
Mhm.
Unless
Yes.
you buy 200,
Mhm.
and then
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know, it's always you
Mhm.
and cannot
Right. Right. Or maybe if like yeah, or like what you said, you hired the person that you knew that you trusted, the janitor. So
Correct.
mhm,
That's the best.
mhm,
That works.
mhm, mhm,
Not say who is some of which.
mhm. So by the time you sold that property, what was the vacancy? How many tenants did you have
So
left?
whenever the vacancy went down further,
Mm,
okay, and I would say it was 40, was 50, 45 to 50%.
okay.
Okay,
Mhm, mhm,
and it was to my surprise that all this fill up
mhm,
the percent. There was this, it just couldn't find, and it just dragged for like 4 years.
mhm,
Okay, and it just again, this is one of the things
mhm, mhm,
and become better.
mhm. Because you understand the Chicago real estate market very well in Evanston, and then you thought that since it's downtown is safe, you had no idea that it's so different from Chicago and Evanston.
Correct.
Mhm,
Correct.
mhm.
So I assume some things that they would take, but that's
Right.
just
Mhm,
fact to find
mhm,
okay.
mhm. Did you have any other investor friends at that time in Milwaukee?
No.
Oh,
No,
mhm, yeah. Okay. Well, so after that, do you still remember what your next deal was? And when, like, how soon after that deal did you say, I'm going to for the next one? Did you find it or did you hear about it? You know, you always have your radar out to see if there's any good deals. So,
Correct.
mhm,
My radar never turned down.
yes.
Okay.
Mhm,
I knew in my heart that because of
mhm,
uh, that's why
mhm, mhm,
and the belief to invest
mhm,
that never
mhm,
so it just made better investment
mhm,
and
mhm,
with my deal time.
mhm. So let's put it this way then. Now that you knew more about Milwaukee, so uh, so there's no point in investing in a place like Milwaukee then, or is there some way that if the situation is right, that Milwaukee is still worth investing in?
No, Milwaukee,
Mhm,
except okay, office occupancy was low,
mhm,
and I have to know that
mhm,
when I was going there to buy an office, 10-story office building, which is like almost 7,000 square feet,
mhm,
right? Uh, Other type of properties would be perfect, could be house, could be whatever, right? But at that moment, this office building, okay, it wasn't very hot,
mhm,
and that's okay.
mhm. Did it recover afterwards, Milwaukee, the office, or you didn't
I
follow it?
Yeah, since I didn't have another,
Yeah,
I didn't
right.
follow.
Mhm, mhm. Okay. What about Chicago? Did Chicago ever experience a office property a downturn like that?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Like in Evanston, I've been in Evanston for 40 years,
Mhm,
and I noticed, there were properties that the brokers were begging me to buy. Okay, and I said no, and then 10, 20 years later, you couldn't even touch that property.
mhm.
Okay, so there is a trend. Absolutely.
Was it also in 2013 that the Chicago office property was,
Yes.
oh, okay.
Yes.
Mhm,
So again, it's like there is volatility in the other
How could you tell that it's going up again and then you jump into it before and take advantage of it before it really goes up?
Because if you follow city trends, you notice like right now, it's people have a tendency to go in that office where, you know, there is an investment. Get internet, get office. He runs by hand. That's what it is right now. And if you have office building, you try to rent office, it's not good. Okay? So if you're in this thing, you have to notice
It's because of the pandemic, a lot of people are working at home.
it is because of the whatever develop, people are not really or instead they go and share them. Share them together.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh.
And they don't want to get utilities to their names for internet or anything. So what happens is there are these investors, they get an office, a big office, and they divide it and make two big offices. And then the rest is us. And you go there and you pay, let's say, $5,000 a month, where you go, internet is provided, okay, telephone is provided, there is a receptionist also, and printing machine. So you go there for 50 hours, you do your paperwork, your office work, instead of being at home. So you go into an environment, a business environment. That's the trend right now that we're talking about.
So how long are they do they pay that 500 for? Is it only for 2 to 3 hours a day, or they could it is their space, they could go whenever they want?
They can go anytime
Hmm.
they good and at the end of the month.
Is that the trend now in
Yes.
Chicago and Evanston?
Yes, this is the
Wow.
trend.
When did it start? Was it even then? It was happening before the pandemic started.
Correct.
Huh?
Yeah.
Because the rent was so expensive, and then people couldn't afford the rent.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
But the landlords now, are they able to make money by renting out that way? Would they have enough cash flow, like you said?
Right, again, not that out of the blue.
Mm.
Start slowly. And if your investment is real estate, you have to understand the base of the trend, right?
Mhm.
And if your industry is restaurant, you have to understand also, how things go for the rest. No. The industry has, those trends.
Mhm.
You cannot be in the industry and you have no clue about the trend.
Mhm.
Then I say you're in the problem.
Then can you tell when the trend will come back, when people want to rent suites again for offices?
Absolutely. You see advertising,
Mhm.
through the media, internet, and I see sometimes they are calling, okay, looking for
Mhm.
why.
Mhm.
Well, that speaks itself.
Mhm.
Okay, from that, there is flow, or there is some kind of,
Mhm.
urgency.
Mhm.
So based on that, you just,
Mhm.
because,
Yes. Mhm.
okay, and it's not just five,
Mhm.
then happy, and you create
Mhm.
because you can find more
Mhm.
easy,
Mhm.
or vice versa. So you have to,
Mhm. So right now, even you have office spaces where you uh, rent out that way, like small spaces to the tenants, right?
yes, right now I have, we, this year we lost a lot
Mhm.
of tenants, but then I got together with someone who got the whole floor.
Mhm.
For me, he pays the best I would get,
Uh-huh.
and then he gets, the people that they go there by the hour.
Mm,
Okay. And it works. Yeah, that's
nice. Well, so what is the trend for residential then?
right now, it's very, very hard,
Mhm.
simply because there is not enough uh, supply. The supply and demand, this is the basic rule of
Mhm.
okay. When you've got something too much, it gets shipped in order to go.
Mhm.
When you've got something more people want it than the is, it gets
Mhm.
right now, the demand for apartments or houses are more than the supply. And as a result, everything is going up.
Mhm.
That's why the apartments are very expensive, the houses are expensive.
Mhm.
And what happens is, once this is established, it takes 2 years, then the developers, okay, that's the investors, they start building.
Mhm.
And they build to balance the demand.
Mhm.
Once you build too many, then there's more supply than demand,
Mhm.
and the rents they go down.
Right.
And that's the cycle. So it takes like
Mhm. So when where are the who is coming in to create that demand? Is it everywhere in the U.S. or are people from other places coming to Chicago,
It's
coming to
it's
Evanston?
everywhere. Some of the towns, so they more, less,
Mhm.
okay. Everywhere.
Isn't there like about the same amount of people in the U.S. and then but how is it that now there's like more demand if there's like about the same
Well,
amount of
the
people?
population is increasing,
Mhm.
okay, and meanwhile, the construction for the last 10 years kind of stopped.
That's it. Mhm.
That's created-
Mhm.
that's created-
Mhm. And then, of course, recently with the pandemic, construction supplies are in short short too because the homeowners they're buying and doing a lot do it yourself. So
Correct,
there's a
correct. So
shortage.
this is basically supply and demand
Mhm.
economics,
Mhm.
okay, that affects the real estate.
Mhm. So for real estate right now, so residential is the best. And then
Correct.
what is there any specific kind of residential that is better than other
Apartments,
apartments?
because number one, you're never gonna have it happen,
Mhm.
because there are more people looking for apartments than apartments.
Mhm.
So for an investor who's gonna buy apartments, and he's gonna have fully rented, there's nothing better than that,
Right.
okay?
Mhm.
So there's nothing, and then I would say the more units you buy, the better it is, because you have the scale of economy,
Mhm.
okay? And it's easier actually, because then you can afford a management when you have 600 units.
Mhm.
If you have like 5, 10, you can, unless you're to manage, you know,
Mhm.
yourself.
Mhm.
But for the typical investor, I would say, okay, the bigger, the better.
Mhm.
And assuming, you've got the money and the means to finance and everything. Yes.
Mhm. So right now, it's very easy to find a tenant then.
Yes. For
Mhm.
apartment,
Mhm. And are are there enough people that can afford because the rents are kind of high now? Are there because I have read that people are not making enough at their jobs, that they're uh, like middle class people, they're just not earning enough to pay rent. But evidently, there's enough people that
correct. When
that
you've
are
got
earning
enough
enough.
people that they want that apartment, someone
Mhm. Okay.
will be able to afford.
Mhm. So when you is there any more advice that you could give people about the due diligence because that is so important?
Okay. Basically, the duty is if you have the experience, right? Okay. Use your own knowledge.
Mhm.
If you don't hesitate to get advice.
Mhm.
Okay.
And where would we get advice?
Advice is always people with experience,
Mhm.
either for free or with small cost.
Mhm.
There are all consultants that for $1,000 they can go and look at the property, foundation, know everything that you need to know. They're just gonna give you in a reporting line.
Mhm.
So don't hesitate to have that power, because that power will save you,
Mhm.
you know, more money.
And
And then
how,
as far as the market, there are all kind of special people there
Mhm.
that they will advise you if the place is right, if the price is right, everything.
Mhm. And then if we were to, you said that it's best to find a building that has been in the family for a long time. And then is it, would you say it's easier to like just keep your radar out to hear about situations like that? Or would real estate brokers know about that? Is there any, would real estate brokers have that knowledge about buildings that have been owned by a family for quite a long time?
Absolutely. Uh, that when a property with a family for a long time,
Mhm.
it has certain advantages, more types of advantages.
Mhm.
And so it really helps you if you want also the seller to help you finance. It works perfect.
Mhm.
Okay. And then if the building is turned over, you know, every 2, 3 years, definitely someone is going to make profit.
Mhm.
And the price,
Right.
so the property that was kind tends to be lower. So
Mhm.
that's one of the things. Don't rush for
Mhm.
2 years.
Right.
Just flip it over. Probably
Okay.
just you know.
And for the real estate agents, would they be able to provide the information upfront about what kept the cash flow is?
Yes, absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah, so they have the revenue,
Mm.
and they can tell you that the calculation is bad. But you
Mhm.
need to confirm. You
Mhm.
need to verify
Uh, and how do we verify that?
by looking at that. It's
Okay.
very simple.
And do we have to ask the tenants to make sure that they are paying that the
Absolutely.
rent?
This is part of the you know when you do
Mhm.
the code certificate. Okay, your lawyer will know that when you do the closing, before the closing, each tenant will have signed a staple certificate which will say, I don't owe anything to the landlord, the landlord doesn't owe me anything. In other words, and my rent is that much,
Mhm.
and I'm covered.
Mhm.
Because some tenants, but 5 of them they don't pay.
Mhm.
Then you know that's when it's going to come out in the due diligence, and at the closing, you're going to request each one of the tenants to verify how much rent they pay, okay, and if they're current with the rent.
And do we get to know how long their lease is till when
Yes,
the lease
absolutely. You
expires?
get
Mhm.
copies because now they become your own.
Right. Okay. Mhm. Yeah. But even though they the you're just like proposing to buy, you're still able to look at the leases too.
Correct.
Okay.
This is the due diligence
Mhm.
provides.
So is there anything that a buyer needs to know, but the owner is not required to disclose?
No, you
Mhm.
you just say, oh, how many people okay?
Mm. Mhm. Okay. Mhm.
But I mean,
Of course. Uh-huh.
so you don't have
Mhm.
to get from
Mhm.
but you can show proof that the money is actually that he deposited that because that's verified that he gets the money. Okay, I mean there are all different ways. But yeah, you can ask for just
Mhm.
to secure yourself.
Mhm. Okay. Are there any like the first real estate deal you told us about that, you learned about that? Is there any other important thing that about the real estate deals that we do it's very important to ask about that. People don't realize.
There is nothing other than make the decision to go
Mhm,
because once you know you look into that,
Mhm.
that creates some kind of problem and
Okay.
it holds you from
doing it.
doing it. So I figure out
Mhm,
and make a move.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
During that move, find out what is right, what is wrong. That process.
Mhm,
At the end, again, this due diligence protects you from losing it.
mhm,
All right. So I would recommend, okay, put offers out there. Put an offer,
Mhm.
okay? And it's like offering letter of
Mhm.
right? And start looking seriously at what
Right.
and you then you can choose,
Mhm.
you know.
So what you're saying is that even though we don't have your experience, then we could ask the real estate broker to help us to find those that have the 10 cap and then go explore to see if we're able to acquire those.
Correct.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, you give us a lot of courage to just jump forward and do it.
Again,
Mhm.
and I think you're very good, okay? But again, it takes a little from inside,
Mhm.
okay?
Mhm.
Because you have to understand if I do it,
Mhm.
you can do it as well.
Right.
Now I sound
Mhm.
now I sound like everything. But it was a time that I was young.
Mhm.
I had zero knowledge. And I'm here because I dare to do it
Mhm.
like the says do it.
Mhm.
Okay?
Mhm.
Because a lot of people they never take that
Mhm.
okay? So I said, for someone like you, okay, it was best to find a property
Mhm.
for apartment
Mhm. Mhm.
where you keep one for you
Mhm.
because you need an apartment.
Mhm.
And the other and those things they pay you.
Mhm.
There's nothing easier, nothing better. Okay? Because number one, you need a house. You
Mhm.
need a place to stay.
Mhm.
Okay? So instead of going and getting a house or one apartment, go and get four.
Mhm.
Okay? And you will be surprised that basically you're gonna live for free. Who wouldn't like to live for free?
Right.
Okay?
Mhm.
At the same time, property will appreciate. 10 years later, it will have almost its price.
Mhm.
It's like that's an investment of a savings account.
Mhm.
Okay? And it has all type of benefits. Now, as far as management, you're gonna be there. I mean, you're gonna be next to it, right?
Mhm.
Something breaks, something happens, you're there. It's yours. You fix it. You take care of it.
Mhm.
Okay? And so that's and before you realize that you do this, then you're not at all. How can I go back to you? Okay?
Yes. Mhm.
Before you start, learn how
Mhm.
to say no one before even working. Start. There is no
Mhm.
okay? So I would highly recommend, okay, that find those four or three or
Mhm.
five or something
Mhm.
where the units they will pay your mortgage
Mhm.
and you
Mhm.
there's nothing that
Mhm.
so that's the
So when you started investing and you bought more than one door, how many units did you buy of your first one?
my first one
Mm.
again. The good thing with me,
Of course.
I had to learn at the high school,
Mhm.
okay? And so the first thing that I did, I bought a 15 apartments with 5 floors,
Mhm. Mhm.
okay?
Are they ground
in
level?
uptown,
Oh, okay.
okay?
Mhm.
Yeah, they were like 5 floors
Mhm.
and apartments,
Mhm.
okay? And so again, I had to high school, Okay, and I was involved with my restaurant.
Mhm.
And every time there was an issue, they would call me. Oh, there's
Mhm.
well, I had to do the rest of it.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's not very. And I'm sorry. And then she just went down with an outcome. And then I took the same issue until I came to the point where I had a help. So I didn't have to go and do the little things.
Mhm.
Okay, like 3, 4, 5 people. So they do the work.
Mhm.
So now it's
Mhm.
so that's what it's covered.
Was it in the 80s, 1980s? What?
But
Oh,
I said 1980.
okay.
Yes.
Well, okay, Ted Mavrakis, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and insight on real estate and investing with us. And see you again next week. Thank you so much.
Anytime. Thank you.